Amenhotep IV, or more properly known as Akhenaten, was the pharaoh of Egypt from roughly 1353 to 1336 BC. He was the 18th dynasty of Egypt, was the son of the pharaoh Amenhotep III, shown here. These are the parents of Akhenaten, which is interesting because they are very symmetrical, beautiful, and aesthetically pleasing to the eye. This is a characteristic of Egyptian art that was extremely steady for thousands of years, until Akhenaten. There are a couple of theories to why Akhenaten flipped Egypt's traditional styles of religion, art, and exposure, including resentment of his father, that he simply had a different taste in art than previous pharaohs, or the most widely accepted theory that Akhenaten was suffering from some sort of disease that deformed him, and he was being honest about his own truth that his family hid for years. All we know was that Akhenaten was essentially the original Cinderella. He was a neglected child. He wanted the truth of himself out. Akhenaten was originally named after his father, Amenhotep IV, which he changed to Akhenaten in the 5th year of his reign. This all leads into the theory of why Akhenaten had changed so much so fast. There is a theory that Akhenaten resented his father for alienating him from the rest of his siblings, that he wanted to change everything that his father had created in spite of his father. He changed the art style and rejected all the gods that his father once praised. Akhenaten changed religious art from showing specific gods interacting with Egyptians, or the pharaoh, him, and changed it to his one sun god Aten, shown here. It's basically a circle with little rays of light with hands attached to the bottom of them holding ankhs, which is the symbol of life. While all of this is happening, the most peculiar change was happening in the art world of Egypt. Akhenaten came up with a strange art form and style that was extremely different from the traditional Egyptian art style. Shown in this profile of Akhenaten, you can see the rounded features of his face and the elongated attributes such as his chin and ears. In this photo, you'll see Akhenaten with a bit of a gut, wide hips, and slouched features connecting with his god Aten, and even his wife and child in this piece have the same attributes as him. An easy assumption is that Akhenaten just had a different taste in art than every other Egyptian pharaoh ever. That he wanted everyone to look at them as if they were different because they were royal, and the large heads and elongated features just exposed that in a more literal way. Maybe he did just like the style to show their difference, or just out of honest different aesthetic taste. But there are more likely theories, such as disease. Akhenaten seemed to really appreciate the truth and showing who he was and who his family was. In this photo, it shows Akhenaten, his wife Nefertiti, and his daughters all having what looks to be like family bonding. This is an example of Akhenaten showing his family to the everyday Egyptian. Akhenaten is thought to be a literalist. For instance, this is the bust of Nefertiti as a young woman, beautiful and perfect, and this is her during the end of Akhenaten's reign. It shows her looking older, more slouched and flawed, which she would have been later in their life together. This points to the fact that he probably had some sort of defect that made him look noticeably different than the rest. There are two popular theories that explain why Akhenaten looks so different in his portraits and statues than the rest of the Egyptians. He could have had what is called Marfan syndrome. According to the Marfan Foundation on marfan.org, Marfan syndrome is a disorder that affects the body's connective tissue. Connective tissue holds the body together and plays a role in its growth and development. Because connective tissue is found throughout the body, Marfan syndrome and related disorders can affect many parts of the body, including the entire cardiovascular system, bones and joints, eyes, skin, and lungs. Some of the symptoms of this that Akhenaten's art show are lengthy arms and legs, tall body type, and lanky limbs, long curved fingers, and flat feet. In a journal called Akhenaten Deformities by the University of Maryland Medical Center, the second theory is one from a Dr. Braverman. He believes Akhenaten's female form to familial gynecomastia, brought on by an inherited syndrome called aromatous excess syndrome. Aromatous excess syndrome is a condition characterized by elevated levels of the female sex hormone estrogen in both males and females, according to the U.S. National Library of Medicine. Dr. Braverman says he found some evidence of familial gynecomastia in depictions of Akhenaten's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, as well as in the founder of the 18th dynasty, Thutmosis I, and 6 generations earlier. King Tut, who may have been Akhenaten's brother, also had gynecomastia. He explains that aromatase excess syndrome tips the androgen-estrogen balance in favor of estrogen, leading to the feminization of men. At the end of the day, we will never know why Akhenaten had such a strange appearance until we find his remains. We have not been able to verify verify any of the mummified pharaohs have been Akhenaten. All of these assumptions and diagnoses are from historic observation and art-based diagnosis. Will this strange pharaoh's secrets ever be discovered, or are they hidden in the ground forever?